Hello, John.
Hello, Oliver.
Today we're going to talk about the nurses and the fact that the government had no real plan for the nurses in the case of an emergency. The government appears to have had no plan for any kind of emergency in Ireland, whether it's a pandemic, a war, or depression, recession. There's no plan whatsoever in place. Okay, at the moment it's reported that there's nearly 600 healthcare workers sent home. Some are just saying have the virus, some are isolating. And then, of course, there's the problem with the nursing homes that there's nowhere for these to isolate. They're going home to their families, and then you have members of their family sitting inside in the garage of the house, trying to isolate. So it's a complete farce.
So, in other words, the nurses then are under pressure and under severe pressure because of this business of the way they're being treated by the general public, shall we say, their families, and the major fact that there isn't nursing homes as there was up to the 80s. Or, matter of fact, I would have thought they were still there. I didn't realise that there's little or no nursing homes now, which is absolutely a disgrace that any government that implemented such a policy should be exposed. Mm-hmm. That's number one. There had been an inquiry into that, but because in this emergency that has occurred now, and emergencies do occur. Don't forget we've heard nothing about the blinking hospitals for years except people on trolleys and people having to wait ages for appointments for serious illnesses. The healthcare system seems to be in absolutely unmanageable for some reason, and yet we have nothing but experts. Now, the nurses don't deserve to be treated like that. They do not deserve to be treated like that whatsoever. And secure accommodation should be a priority. Now that this caretaker government that we have in power at the moment, if they're fit to make a decision, they want to make a decision so as nurses can stay in safe accommodation. Perhaps hotels or places of that calibre where they can be secure and not have to mix with members of their own family, or even if they're in rented accommodation with whoever is in the house that they might be renting or staying with, because they're under pressure now because of this emphasis on this, how easy this virus can be spread. So they're alarming people the whole time, not alone alarming the general public, but putting nurses' health at risk.
That's it. One of the problems was anyway the personal protection equipment, the PPE equipment that has come back from. They sent a cargo plane out there, Aer Lingus, and they came back with a whole load of gear. It cost, I think it was 30 million or 100 million. They put some fancy figure on it. But the problem is with it is that it's not. Some of it's fake. Some of the protection equipment is fake. It's cheap stuff. It's not suitable for a PPE. And the problem there is that the government didn't actually send somebody out in the plane, obviously, that was qualified to pick out this equipment. But not only that, I'm going to give you an example of what farmers do down the country when they're picking out something. For example, the hay for the year. Okay. So what they needed to do was send somebody into the factory and do what the farmer does when the farmer buys hay. So what the farmer does when the farmer buys hay is he goes to a contractor, there's a massive hay shed, there might be 10,000 bales of hay in it. He wants to buy the 10,000 bales, but how does he know that each bale is okay?
Yes.
So what the farmer will do is he will go to random places within the hay shed. He'll pick out a bale here, a bale of hay here, a bale of hay there, a bale of hay at the back. He'll climb up the top. These are all random places he will pick, and he'll have 4 or 5 bales of hay, and then he cuts them down the middle. And if all 5 bales of hay are perfect, right, then the farmer knows he's picked them all himself randomly. He then knows that the 10,000 bales are perfect. They're going to do the job.
Exactly.
He's picked them randomly. The government should have done the same thing with the person they sent out there in the factory. They should have said, give me 5 random boxes, okay? I'm going to pick them myself. I'm going to open them up. I'm going to look at them before we bring them back to Ireland, before we give you 30 million, 100 million, whatever they gave them, okay? Obviously, they didn't do that. And the fact that they didn't do that tells me that our government are posh boys who are not streetwise.
Well, you see, we'll take it that that's the fact. All right, but there must be. Isn't there a Department of Health? I mean, what they're overpaid. The HSE have they nothing between their ears that they couldn't anticipate that when you're forking out money in this sort of emergency situation that you need to be doubly careful, especially with communists in China, notorious for passing shoddy goods. As a matter of fact, if something is not working, the chances are it's made in China because it's made not to the proper standard. Too much stuff is made in China. Now, this was so important and so expensive that they should have had not just one experts to double check in a random fashion, as you've outlined about farmers, what they do. This would be something that you would think would be self-evident. Now, this is the first I've heard, believe it or not, that this is the situation with this equipment that they bought. When did this information come out that some of the stuff is not fit for purpose?
It was reported in the media there about 3 or 4 days ago.
So it's only after coming back from China.
They're after spending millions and millions. It's like the doll printer all over again, except this time people's lives are on the line.
Well, then, how will they know which is the shoddy equipment and which is there of the amount that they got? How much of it is shoddy, I wonder?
Well, I tell you what, right? The fact that they have now discovered that the equipment is not suitable for purpose, right, means that they did bring it back, and then somebody who was qualified in Ireland looked at it, okay? But that person, the point I'm making is, that person should have been on the plane and they should have been over in the factory in China.
Of course, and not just them, but any other experts like them,
Yes.
because you would need that type of individual. Now, it's terrible to be, it's like as if you're dealing with crooks. If you're buying anything, especially something so expensive, if you're buying anything, you double check it out. You certainly don't take something in boxes without checking them out and maybe just saying, well, this is what they're like, and them telling you that all the equipment that's in the boxes is of this calibre.
Yeah.
That's a very short-sighted policy. And no matter who you're dealing with, you're dealing with crooks. You could be dealing with crooks. Well, they were dealing with crooks. The communists are crooks, and this should be widely reported, even in the EU. In case other countries are that stupid and do the same thing. Yeah. But I don't think they would be. So if that's the way they did that, what other mistakes are they making in other areas?
This is the thing. I mean, we've got a very, very incompetent government, and the amazing thing is that their popularity is now higher because of the coronavirus, because people are just not clued in.
Well, of course they're not, and of course if they're dependent on the media that we're stuck with in this country, which I have criticised in umpteen videos I've done, especially the state broadcast, that they should never be in receipt of a licence fee. They're incompetent as well, and the general media as well. They just report and exaggerate situations, and don't have any proper analysis of any situation. It's always exaggerated to the worst degree. Now, this question of the plane that went to China, it looked like as if they were taking steps to deal with the emergency in a proper way. But look what they've done. They've made another cod of that, another misfortune of that disaster. Like when they say that some of it is fake, it sounds to me like as if the majority could be fake.
Yeah.
So it was a tremendous waste of money. Now, if they dealt with a government, they're entitled to look for their money back. This is why the US is criticising Britain for using some system as regards information that originates in China, because they'll know more about their security and all the rest of it. So you want to be very careful to deal with people at that calibre.
So there we go. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you very much, Oliver. I think